Do we continue the trend that technology only benefits the people on top, or do we demand that these transformational changes benefit working people? And one of the benefits must be a lower work week, 32-hour work week.
I'm sorry, what? Can you say that again?
And one of the benefits must be a lower work week, 32-hour work week.
Yeah, Senator Bernie Sanders just introduced the 32-Hour Workweek Act, which, if passed, would get rid of the 40-hour-a-week work week that we're all used to, and would instead mandate a 32-hour work week with no reduction in pay. That reduction in hours would gradually happen over 4 years. The bill would also require overtime pay at time and a half for workdays longer than 8 hours and double time for workdays longer than 12 hours.
American workers are now over 400% more productive than they were in the 1940s. Extraordinary. Technology has made working people far more productive. And what has been the result of all of that productivity increase for working people? Almost all of the economic gains of that technological transformation have gone straight to the top, while wages for workers have remained stagnant or even worse.
During a hearing about this bill this morning, Senator Sanders listed all the other countries that are starting to adopt similar shorter work weeks. He also cited studies that show these days more than 28 million Americans are actually working more than 60 hours a week, and 40% of American workers, he says, are working more than 50 hours a week. The senator says Americans work 204 more hours a year than even employees in Japan. But obviously there was very loud opposition to this bill from the ranking Republican member who just so happened to be sitting right next to Bernie Sanders.
Now, if a business needs to maintain a 40-hour work week to remain competitive, not just locally but globally, a government-mandated 32-hour work week would be catastrophic. Government should not be in the business of undermining an employer's ability to keep their doors open with unreasonable and perhaps unconstitutional mandates. They would ship those jobs overseas, or they would automate to replace those workers for whom they have an increased expense, or they would dramatically increase prices to make the stay afloat. Now, we've talked about the Biden economics leading to inflation. This would be napalm.
As Senator Cassidy kept going on and on about why this was such a horrible idea, Senator Sanders had a hard time controlling his face.
Now, the chair frequently says the United States is the wealthiest nation in the world. We are. How do we achieve it? American work ethic. Second to none.
Now, you may be wondering, how did we even get to this whole 40-hour-a-week work week idea? Well, in 1938, Congress passed the Fair Labor Standards Act, and it was signed into law by President Roosevelt. As a result, by 1940, the 40-hour work week was implemented across the United States. Now, before you get excited about having a 32-hour-a-week work week with no reduction in pay, I want you to understand that it is very unlikely that this bill would become a law. Opposition is obviously fierce, but the bill does have a companion piece of legislation that was also introduced in the House. So we're going to have to see where this goes, if it goes anywhere at all.